Some of the richest countries in the world are also the hardest places to build a decent life, and that sounds like something that shouldn't even be possible. If a country is sitting on oil, gold, diamonds, or rare minerals, logic says it should be thriving. Roads should be smooth, electricity should be stable, jobs should be everywhere, and people should feel like the future is moving forward. But in many cases, the exact opposite happens. The resources are real, the money exists, the exports are massive, yet the average person is still struggling just to stay afloat. And if you only look at it from the surface, it feels confusing, almost unfair, like something is just broken. But this isn't random, and it's not just bad luck. There's a pattern behind it, and once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it again. There's a concept economists use called the resource curse, and despite the name sounding almost dramatic, it explains this situation with uncomfortable accuracy. Countries that are rich in natural resources often end up with weaker economies, more inequality, and fewer opportunities for the people living there. Not always, but often enough that it becomes a pattern you can't ignore. And the reason this happens has nothing to do with the resources themselves. Oil isn't the problem. Gold isn't the problem. The problem is the system built around them. Take Nigeria, for example. On paper, it's one of the largest oil producers in the world. Billions of dollars flow through that country every single year because of oil exports. That's not speculation, that's fact. And when you hear that, you automatically assume that level of income should translate into visible prosperity. But for many people living there, that wealth feels distant, almost like it belongs to a different reality. Infrastructure can be inconsistent, access to stable opportunities can be limited, and the average person often doesn't feel the full benefit of what the country actually produces. Now pause for a second and think about that. A country producing massive amounts of wealth, yet the distribution of that wealth doesn't reflect in everyday life for most people. That disconnect is not accidental, it's structural. To understand what's really happening, you have to stop thinking about wealth as just money coming in. That's where most people get it wrong. Wealth is not just about how much enters a system, it's about how that system is designed to distribute, circulate, and multiply it. When a country discovers a highly valuable resource, something subtle but powerful starts to shift. Instead of building a broad, diversified economy where multiple industries grow and support each other, everything starts to revolve around that one resource. Oil becomes the center. Gold becomes the center. Minerals become the center. And once that happens, the entire economic structure begins to narrow. When revenue is concentrated into a single stream, power naturally follows that same path. Whoever controls that stream begins to control the majority of the wealth. And when wealth is concentrated, decision-making becomes concentrated as well. Instead of money flowing through thousands of businesses, entrepreneurs, workers, and industries, it flows through a much tighter channel. That changes incentives across the entire country. Instead of people focusing on creating value, building companies, or developing new industries, the focus shifts toward controlling access to that resource. Because controlling the resource becomes the fastest way to access wealth. This is where the system begins to quietly break down. Not in an obvious, dramatic way, but in a slow shift that changes how people behave. Economists call this rent-seeking behavior, but you don't even need the technical term to understand it. It's when people compete for control instead of competing to create. Instead of asking, "What can I build?" The question becomes, how do I get access? And when enough people start thinking that way, innovation slows down. Productivity weakens. Entire industries that could have grown never get the attention they need. At the same time, the currency itself can start behaving differently. When large amounts of foreign money come into a country because of exports, it can push the local currency in ways that actually make other industries less competitive. Imports become cheaper, which sounds good at first, but it slowly undermines domestic production. Why produce locally when it's easier to import? And over time, that weakens the internal economy. The country becomes dependent, not just on the resource, but on the system built around it. Everything becomes tied to that single flow of income. You can see a version of this play out in Venezuela, a country with some of the largest oil reserves in the world, yet it experienced one of the most severe economic collapses in recent history. Hyperinflation reached levels where money lost value almost overnight. Basic goods became difficult to access, and millions of people were pushed into survival mode. Again, not because the resources disappeared, but because of how the system around those resources was structured and managed over time. And this is the part most people don't fully process. They assume the issue is the country itself, or the people, or maybe just poor decisions at some point. But the deeper issue is incentives. Every system, no matter where it exists, runs on incentives. People respond to what is rewarded. If a system rewards creation, people create. If a system rewards control, people compete for control. If a system rewards extraction, people extract. It's not complicated, but it's powerful. Because once those incentives are in place, they shape behavior at every level. In a resource-heavy system, where large amounts of wealth come from a concentrated source, the incentives often tilt toward control. And once that becomes the dominant path to wealth, the entire system starts reinforcing itself. The people benefiting from it have no reason to change it. The structures built around it become harder to dismantle, and the longer it continues, the more difficult it becomes to shift toward a more balanced, diversified economy. Now here's where this gets even more interesting, because it's easy to look at countries like Nigeria or Venezuela and think this is something that only happens in certain parts of the world. But that's not entirely true. The pattern exists everywhere, just in different forms. The resource might not be oil or minerals, but the structure can still be similar. In some economies, the resource is access to financial systems. In others, it's proximity to money creation. In others, it's ownership of assets that continue to grow in value over time. When wealth becomes concentrated, regardless of the source, the same dynamics start to appear. A smaller group gains disproportionate access. The majority finds it harder to keep up. Opportunities become uneven, and the system starts favoring those already inside it. It may look different on the surface, but the underlying structure can be surprisingly similar. This is why understanding systems matters more than just understanding income or jobs or even industries. Because systems determine outcomes over time. They decide who gets access, who benefits first, and who struggles to catch up. And once you start seeing the world through that lens, things begin to make more sense. You stop being surprised by outcomes that used to feel confusing. You start recognizing patterns that repeat across different countries, different economies, and different situations. And here's the part that actually matters for you, because this isn't just about understanding the world from a distance. This is about understanding the environment you're operating in. Because whether you realize it or not, you're inside a system too. It may not look like the examples we've talked about, but it still has rules, incentives, and structures that shape your outcomes. The difference is, once you understand how systems work, you're no longer completely at the mercy of them. You start asking better questions. You start paying attention to where value is created versus where it's captured. You start noticing where opportunities actually come from instead of where they appear to be. And that changes how you move. Because at the end of the day, it's not about whether a country is rich or poor. It's about how its system distributes access to wealth and opportunity. And once you understand that, the conversation shifts completely. You stop focusing on surface-level explanations, and you start looking at structure. You start seeing the mechanics behind the outcomes. And when you see the mechanics, you realize something important. Systems don't change overnight. They evolve slowly, and they tend to protect themselves. But individuals can adapt faster than systems can change. That's the real advantage. Not trying to fight the system head-on, but understanding it well enough to position yourself differently within it. Because if you keep looking at the world the way most people do, you'll keep asking the same questions and getting the same answers. But if you shift your perspective, even slightly, and start focusing on how systems actually operate, you start seeing options that weren't obvious before. You start recognizing leverage points. You start understanding where real opportunities exist. And that's the difference between just observing the system and actually navigating it.